As I reflect back on ADS, there's a phrase that comes to mind: standing on the shoulders of giants. We would not be here today if it wasn't for Marty and Ron, Frank Eck, and all the other ones who got this company started and suffered through all the hardships of a startup, of cash flow, of making payroll, buying raw material, getting new equipment made. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for all that. So they've really set the stage for us to take it now and be really successful with the opportunities that the future holds.
You know, back in '85, in that time frame, the government passed that swamp buster bill that pretty much brought agriculture to a halt.
And the first year that I started with ADS, the ag market went down 80 to 90%. There was about 3 or 4 companies in Ohio that went bankrupt.
The law was so vague that the SCS at the time, now it's NRCS, wouldn't allow anybody to do any drainage whatsoever. So there was a lot of companies that went under. They just couldn't survive that ag business. It just all but dried up.
The agricultural market was just in terrible shape. Hayden Fry had the Iowa football team wearing black armbands, and Willie Nelson had Farm Aid concerts.
That's when we started really, as a sales force in Ohio, kind of searching like we've got to do something else besides sell agriculture.
The new focus was getting our product into the marketplace in a new market that didn't exist for plastic pipe.
ADS was desperate. We wanted to get our products into as many places as we could. Markets like grain aeration, gravelless leach, landfills, composting. We were trying everything. The markets that showed the greatest promise were culverts and storm drains. Concrete pipes were heavy and cracked easily, and the metal pipes were prone to rust.
Holy mackerel, look at that pile of metal pipe over there. Boy, it looks like crap. Well, that's what happens with metal pipe, so it's an opportunity for us to sell.
The vast majority of highway departments for pipe under pavement don't put anything under pavement smaller than 24-inch. So to get into the highway market and to create any interest at all in the departments of transportation, you had to have a pipe that was that size or bigger.
The technology to create these larger diameter pipes did not exist in the U.S. yet. We did find a company in Japan called Toyo that could make it.
So it was 24-inch. It was made by Toyo, the machinery manufacturer in Japan. It was shipped in. It was installed in Delaware County under Cheshire Road. It's still there. I'm probably the only person in the country who knows where it is, but it's still there and functioning fine. It did give us an opportunity to show an installation to the Department of Transportation and get them at least interested in it. And then the Ohio Department of Transportation in September of '81 installed their first corrugated polyethylene pipe under pavement down in Noble County in a very, very aggressive environment. Low pH. pH was always below 4, somewhat abrasive. That pipe is also still in service today. It has anywhere from 7 inches to about 14 inches of fill over it.
It was all about getting approvals and acceptance to sell outside the egg pipe that had been sold in small diameter single wall.
At the time, ADS was full of all type A personalities. We were all crazy.
Concrete and metal pipe had an advantage: flow rates. The interior corrugations of our single-wall pipe reduced the flow rates below that of our competition.
Europe had N-12 several years before we did, and that's what I laid on the table. I said, this is what the future's going to be.
The answer was a dual-wall pipe.
ADS N-12, corrugated on the outside, smooth on the inside.
I can remember Mark Sturgeon coming and asking, can we make these products on an ADS-3? We said, sure. And the guys was able to modify the equipment so that we could make the dual wall on those type of machines.
We purchased a die, a co-extrusion die, but it used 2 extruders. And we took it to the plant, and of course the plant couldn't afford to shut down 2 lines, much less 1 line. So at that point, we decided there's got to be a way to do it with one extruder. And that's how we ended up making a product with one extruder that everybody else was using two extruders for.
When we first went to dual wall, there was not a dual wall market.
That led to the Deep Berry study in Pennsylvania, which was installed in '87. And we were still, the biggest pipe we had was 24-inch. I always wished it was bigger because I've crawled through it too many times. But that pipe was installed as a test project with 100 feet of fill over it. Again, still there, still a round hole, still 100 foot deep. And we learned things in that study that today impact how you design polyethylene pipe in the ground. And we learned answers to questions that we weren't even smart enough to ask. I give Frank Eck a lot of credit because he allowed us to do that, in part because he had an engineering background too and understood the value of doing it and supported it. But it was a major project.
Switching the production process from spiral pipe to annular allowed us to be more efficient. A German company, Drossbach, manufactured that equipment, and we needed it.
The CEO was Hans-Peter Voigt. He came over to visit, and basically he sold the line. When annular dual wall came in, we actually were bringing another product that was a lot better than the existing product, and it cost us less money to make because we could run it a lot faster.
When N-12 came out, that's when we had those, I think they called them N-12 storm schools. And we went to Indianapolis for the big meeting, and there was like 3 regions there, and that's when Mark Strohreyer headed that up, and Jim Goddard gave the presentations on how to call in an engineer, how to call in a municipality, how to call in a contractor.
And what he taught us back then at the first N-12 storm sewer school in 1987 still holds true today, and it's really what Mike Hubert and Ryan Zenkowitz are in charge of today, is the market share model. You had to touch all the bases.
When they introduced N-12 pipe, I had a sales meeting, and this was asked for by Columbus. Give us your sales target for the coming year in N-12 pipe. And so I went to the sales meeting with $1.5 million forecast in my notes, and everybody else was $250,000, $300,000. I said $1.5 million. I got a standing ovation, you know. We way surpassed that.
The whole commercial selling idea was new, and nobody really understood how to do it. So Dick gave me the keys to a used Ford Tempo. I got a sample of pipe, 5 pieces of literature, the Albany phone book, and I went and stopped at the mobile station and I bought a map. And off I went, drove to Albany, New York. Once I got to Albany, I went to a hotel, sat down, started going through the Albany phone book, went to a bank and got a roll of quarters and started calling engineers and contractors because we didn't know who to see, and we didn't know how to do it.
You know, you got up early and you banged on contractors' doors first thing in the morning. You made engineering calls all day long. You were trying to catch up with contractors when they were back in their office at the end of the day. And in between that, you were stopping in to make sure that you've got distributors trained and they knew what the market was all about, where to look for opportunities.
We put the pipe in. I mean, we were on the job sites. We were working with the crews. We were in the trench nearly all the time. You just started to develop just kind of by instinct and intuition that you'd go out and maybe it wasn't a plumbing supply house you needed to call on. Maybe it was a town or municipality or a contractor. And from that point, you just started the trial and error process of learning how to sell this product to the commercial market.
I remember the first time I sold my first project in Allentown against RCP. I'd met with the engineer, formed a relationship, and I got my first sale, and it was like $25,000 in pipe.
Upstate New York and Vermont were kind of the bastions of corrugated metal.
They all just ran with the N-12 pipe. They just knew this is what the market was looking for, some substitute for metal. I used to tell people, lifetime guarantee. You know, if the pipe fails, we come out and shoot you. But, you know,
We were selling pipe like crazy, and it was putting pressure on our production.
Madera, California plant was very busy, and they were at a point where they were running the spotted rail cars out of resin, and the other rail car was spotted half a mile away. And the railroad said, yeah, we'll get you next Tuesday, type of answer. And they said, well, that's not good enough. We're making pipe, we're working the weekend. And so the guys in the plant, they got the plant forklift and a pickup truck, and they hooked up to a rail car that probably weighed about 400,000 pounds, fully loaded, and decoupled it from the other cars on the off-site track and managed the switch themselves just to keep the plant running and get the pipe that they needed to meet the production demand and the delivery demand for certain customers.
The single wall pipe could be connected above the ground and then fed into the trench. The rigidity of the N-12 required us to install the pipe in the trench, then couple it.
The typical product was a wraparound clamshell type coupler. That was fine for single wall. You could do all that above ground. Now there's a lot more time spent in the trench, and someone had to be down there doing this coupling system. We had two couplers. We had the clamshell coupler, we had the sleeve coupler. We created blow molded couplers.
ADS had developed the N-12 product and was looking for a system to join the pipes. So we aggressively started working with ADS to develop double bell PVC couplings.
But we had a problem because our manufacturing costs were a little too high. So what we did is we took that sleeve coupler, we cut it in half, we took one half of it, put it up to the end of the pipe, and friction welded it onto the end of the pipe. We was able to reduce our costs substantially. That just opened up the doors with regards to the infinite possibilities of using various different gaskets for soil type versus silt type versus 10.8 watertight. Even at that point, we knew that we had to go a little bit farther. We phased out the old spun-on bells and started manufacturing the inline bells.
Continue to go forward with advancements, new generations of product. Just was really, it was exciting times for a sales rep that was getting into that business.
More recently, we introduced HP pipe, which is produced from a polypropylene resin. HP pipe is stronger and tougher than any comparable pipe product in the marketplace. This pipe is perfect for the sanitary sewer trunk line market, as well as any demanding storm sewer applications.
The product line has dramatically expanded to today where we have HP tooling, we have N-12 tooling, we have ASTM pipe, we have ASHTO pipe. The variety of products and SKUs that we sell has grown exponentially.
It was like Christmas when you waited for the next pipe diameter to come out once upon a time.
Here at ADS, we call this era the N-12 revolution. It was a monumental and transformational event for our company, and it was a game changer for the industry.
Entrenched in America, we are the long green line.
We challenge you to join ADS in the long green line. It's my commitment to you to make your life better.
We are the